I'm Sherry and this is Gardening in the North. If you've enjoyed the content that I've been putting out in my videos, then please hit the subscribe button below to show me your support. Today I thought I would bring you along while I dehydrate the rest of my garlic. And when I say the rest of, what I mean is I planted 620 garlic cloves in my garden yesterday, and I have roughly about 130 cloves left. And so I thought what I would do is de-peel these and throw them in the dehydrator and make homemade garlic powder from them. So one of the things I did this morning was I made end of the season harvest soup. Now I don't know if any of you ever do that, but I just realized that I had all these odds and ends from the garden, and you know, there wasn't really enough to do a whole lot with other than throw everything into a pot, you know, cook it all up with some spices and then blend it. So that's what I did this morning. I threw a bunch of onions, garlic, some butter into a pan. I sauteed them up. I had picked all of my peppers that were on the plants, no matter what size they were, and threw those in the pot as well. I had some leftover zucchini. I had one crookneck squash left over. I had one white scallop squash. I had a total eclipse squash. So, oh, and I also had a couple sweet potatoes that my dad had grown and he had given to me. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and a couple carrots. And so I just thought, why not throw it all into a pot to make a fall soup? It smells delicious in my house. I can't tell you how good it smells in there. Now, the reason I'm outside in the screen room and not inside smelling that wonderful soup is because I'm going to be using the dehydrator, and the last time I used the dehydrator to do this, or to do the onions, basically choked the whole family out inside the house. So it is a very strong smell. So I'm hoping that by doing it out here in the screen room with all of these windows, that the smell will just go outside and none of my family will be choking on the smell. So the other thing that I did this morning is I tried to figure out how to get the paper off of these garlic cloves without, you know, picking them with your nails and, you know, cutting too much off. And I watched a lot of videos on a lot of suggestions and tried them. So one of the suggestions was, you know, you take a bunch of garlic cloves and you throw them into a bowl and you vigorously shake them. And so I did that, except that my arms are killing me from planting all my garlic yesterday because I was pulling back the wood chips and then shoveling in new compost, and then I was down on my knees and planting in all of my garlic and then putting it all back. So shaking a container vigorously was not on my list of desired things to do today. So another thing that I had seen was that you can get this silicone tube and you can put your garlic in it and roll it. Well, I have one of those, and you have to roll that vigorously too. So again, not on my list of things to do today. So I did come up with an idea that was kind of in between. So I'm going to be cutting off the root end, just slightly cutting that off very thinly, and then I'm going to slice them in half. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw them into this bowl. And then I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm just going to shake it lightly. And all of the paper that is on the cloves should just come off. And the ones that don't should easily come off, where I don't need to use my nails or really pull at it with my fingers. So I'm going to get started on that. Once I'm done that, I'm actually going to fill the rest of the trays in the dehydrator with my onions. Now, I don't know if you watched my initial video on making homemade onion powder, but I had to use roughly 25 onions, and I think they were probably about that size. And I was able to fill a whole quart jar. So a quart is 1 liter. Now, I did this back in, I think it was maybe July. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the videos to see when I posted that video. I think it was July. And so I've used half of this jar already. Now, I use my homemade onion powder on everything that I'm not putting a real onion into. Anything that I think my kids probably won't want to eat chunks of onion, I use this because this is amazing. So if you haven't made homemade onion powder or homemade garlic powder, it's definitely something that you should save a little bit of your harvest and give it a try. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I want to make sure that when I'm putting on my dehydrator, especially outside, that I'm utilizing all of the trays. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to start cutting all of these garlic cloves and putting them into this bowl. And then I'm going to show you as I shake them. And you'll start to see inside this bowl that it's not just the cloves that are shaken around, but the paper as well. Okay, so we'll just get started. Oh my God, it smells amazing already. Do any of you like to like cook garlic in the oven? Oh my God, it is so yummy. However, you want to make sure that you're on vacation because you can't go to work the next day and after you've eaten a head of garlic that you've roasted in the oven, because the smell of the garlic will be coming out of your pores, and your peers, your coworkers will probably ask you to go home. Okay. So I hope everybody has been having a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. I know that today has been a very lazy day for me, and when I say lazy, what I mean is I haven't really gone out into the garden yet. I haven't done anything out there. It's just really been, you know, basically I've just been making soup and drinking coffee, and I had a nap and thought, you know what, I better come out and get this going because it's going to need probably about, I think back to the onions, I think I did them for about 12 hours. So I'm going to put these in the dehydrator. I will keep checking them, but I suspect it'll probably take 12 hours again, 12 to 15 hours maybe. And so I probably won't be blending these up or bringing you back until tomorrow when I get home from work. Okay, so I have a bunch in there. So let's give this a go, just so you can see what it's like. Now you can see all the paper flying around. Oh my God. These are perfect. And I didn't have to shake too vigorously. I didn't have to like really shake my arms up and down. It was hilarious, if I actually am truthful. My son tried it as well. He put some into a bowl, and then you have to use your whole body vigorously. That's not happening. So this is my way of doing it, and it's perfect. All right, so all of the cloves have been de-peeled, and I'm now going to fill them up on a tray. They're all de-peeled, and I've actually sliced them up a little bit thinner just to cut down on the actual dehydrating time that the machine's actually going to need to be on. So all I'm going to do now is lay them out on the dehydrating sheet and then place them into the dehydrator. So I wanted to take this time as well to kind of put it out there that I hope that everyone who is watching my videos is keeping safe. I know that here in Ontario, we are entering into, or we're in our second wave, and I know that some of you who live in the States are really experiencing very high numbers of COVID, and I just wanted to kind of put it out there to say that I'm thinking of you and that I hope you're all staying safe and that your families are staying safe as well. Okay, so all I do is make sure that they're single layer. You don't want them laying on top of each other. Oh my God, I can't get over the smell of these. They smell so nice. Okay, and I'm just going to show that to you there. Okay, so now I'm going to stick this in the dehydrator and start on the onions. Okay, so for any of you that watched my initial video where I did cut up the onions, my son Wesley helped me, and I think he got through one onion from my garden and it was so strong. He had tears. I'm not even sure he got through the whole onion. So I'm going to try to get through them out here. However, somebody mentioned to me in that video in the comment section that I should wear goggles. And so I'm going to do one better than that. I'm going to wear my snorkeling mask if I need it. So I'm going to try cutting them up because I'm basically outside. Maybe I'm going to be okay. And if I have to step away because I'm in tears, then I will come back with my mask on. So no judgment here. We have to do what we have to do to get through the onion cutting, right? Okay. So, I'm gonna use my big bowl here. Now I want to cut enough onions to fill the other 8 trays. So I'm basically going to need to cut probably close to 100 onions. So let's see. The cutting part isn't the problem. It's all of this touching of it, the onion, pulling it off, and you know, the handling of them. Oh, I can already smell it. Oh boy. I think what I'm going to do is I'll pull out a tray and I'll just put the tray there. As I cut them, I'll throw them up onto there. Maybe that'll keep them away from me. And it's not like you can just, you know, cut them however, like halfway or whatnot. You actually have to cut them so that they dry fairly quickly. You don't want them taking more than, you know, 12 hours. Because then your machine is on for 12 hours as well. Okay. So this one isn't very good on the inside. Hey guys, it's 2 days later. I didn't have a chance to blend up the garlic or the onions yesterday, and then today I had to work. So I basically left all of the trays in the dehydrator and brought it inside from our screen room so that it wouldn't attract bugs and stuff like that, and just let it sit on the table until I got home today. So they have been inside the dehydrator, or the dehydrator was on for roughly 20 hours. Now I think that I probably could have dehydrated the garlic a little bit quicker than that if I had sliced up the garlic cloves a little bit thinner than what I had them. A couple of the pieces were fairly thick, so it's a lesson learned for me to make sure that I do it really thin. A suggestion might be that if you have a food processor, throw your garlic cloves in there so that it chops them up real small, and then just lay out the pieces on one of the trays, because you're blending it up anyways. It doesn't really matter how small the pieces are. Before I show you how I blend them up in my Vitamix, I just wanted to show you this cabbage that I got at the farmer's market. So I didn't do very well this year with cabbage. I had 2 purple cabbages that actually made it through, and they were probably about this big. They've been cut up since then. So I bought 3 of these from my local farmer's market, and I am going to be making sauerkraut tomorrow night. So I'll be bringing you back for that. Okay, so here are all of the garlic. And so what I want to do is I want to put it back in the bowl that I originally had the fresh garlic cloves in, just so I can see how much it fills it. So when I had the fresh garlic in this bowl, it was filled to the top. And now, as you can see, it's probably a little bit less than half. So I think that my estimation of probably needing 50 heads of garlic to do 1 quart jar of garlic powder is going to be pretty accurate. So the fact that I have planted 620-ish cloves of garlic means that I can use roughly 200 of the garlic heads next year when I harvest them to make 4 quart jars of garlic powder. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I have a Vitamix. You don't need to have a Vitamix to blend up your dehydrated garlic. You can use whichever blender you have. I happen to have this one. I'm just going to throw it all in there. Oh my gosh, that is so good. So let me show you what it looks like. So there it is there. Show you again. It's pretty cool. So let's just see in this pint jar how much it fills up. Okay, so I was able to get, I'm going to say, just a little bit more than half of a pint jar. So that's pretty cool considering that this was about 120-ish cloves, and the cloves came from my organic garlic. So they were the soft neck organic garlic, and I think they had roughly 8 to 10 cloves per head. So I think it was probably only 10. So that's pretty good. 10 heads of garlic, and that's what I got. One thing I want to show you is, one, the spin top. Spin lid that I have here, just gray. They're made by Ball. I don't know if you can see that. It's not very good. So they're made by Ball. They're called leak proof. They come in like a white and green box. And I always stick a dry moisture absorber in the lid. That way when I have it sitting on my shelf, any moisture that might be in the jar still from dehydrating it, maybe there was just a little bit of moisture from blending it, whatever it might be, every time I open up the lid, moisture might get into it. the dry actually helps that. And so you want to make sure that you put one of those in there so that your product doesn't start to get really hard and become a block inside your jars. So thanks for spending time with me. I am going to finish off with the onion powder, add to my jar that I have, and then since I have the blenderette, I might as well blend up the bag of eggshells that I have so I can throw that in my compost. Thanks for spending time with me.